Yo, let's talk about Mahatma Gandhi. You know him as the dude who freed India. But his story starts way before that. Born in 1869 in Gujarat, India, Mohandas Gandhi wasn't always about peace and love. He was a regular kid, kind of a troublemaker, even tried smoking and eating meat. But his family was super religious, strict vegetarians, big on non-violence. This background, man, it shaped him. Gandhi was a bright student. He went to London to study law, became a lawyer. Imagine that, Gandhi in a courtroom. He was good at arguing, but not in a yelling, aggressive way. He was all about logic, facts, persuasion. This skill, this way of talking, it would become his superpower later on. After finishing law school, Gandhi went back to India. He struggled to find work. It was tough. Then, he got an offer. A one-year contract to work in South Africa. He thought, why not? Little did he know, this trip would change his life and the world. In South Africa, Gandhi faced intense racial discrimination. This was a turning point for him. He began to organize protests and advocate for the rights of the Indian community there. His experiences in South Africa deeply influenced his philosophy of non-violent resistance. He wrote extensively about his ideas, laying the groundwork for his future activism in India. When he finally returned to India, he was no longer just a lawyer. He was a leader with a vision. Gandhi's early life, filled with challenges and transformations, set the stage for his role in India's struggle for independence. His journey from a mischievous kid to a global icon of peace and non-violence is truly inspiring. And that's just the beginning of the story of Mahatma Gandhi, the leader who changed the world. Gandhi arrived in South Africa in 1893. He was a young lawyer, full of hope and ambition, ready to make a mark in the legal world. Little did he know, this journey would change not just his life, but the course of history. He was ready to lawyer up, fight some cases, and establish himself in a new land. He had the skills, the education, and the determination to succeed. But South Africa was a whole different world. The society was deeply divided, and the landscape of racial inequality was stark and unforgiving. The racism, man, it was brutal. The system of apartheid was designed to keep white people in power and everyone else down. It was a harsh reality that Gandhi had to face head-on. They had apartheid, a system designed to keep white people in power and everyone else down. It was a legal and social structure that enforced racial segregation and discrimination at every level. Gandhi, even though he was educated and successful, he experienced this discrimination firsthand. He saw how people of color were treated as second-class citizens, regardless of their achievements or status. One day, Gandhi was on a train. He had a first-class ticket, the whole deal. He was dressed in his best suit, ready for a comfortable journey. First-class ticket, the whole deal. He had every right to be there, but the color of his skin made him a target. But a white passenger got angry. He couldn't stand the sight of an Indian man in first class. The confrontation was intense and humiliating. Why? Because Gandhi was Indian. That was the only reason. It didn't matter that he had a valid ticket or that he was a respectable lawyer. They forced him out of his seat. He was thrown off the train at Pietermaritzburg station, left to spend the night in a cold, dark waiting room. This moment, this injustice, it lit a fire in Gandhi. He realized that something had to change. This wasn't just a personal affront, it was a symptom of a much larger problem. He realized something had to change. This wasn't just about him, it was about all Indians, all people of color facing discrimination. Gandhi started organizing. He began to see his mission in a new light. This wasn't just about him, it was about all Indians, all people of color facing discrimination. Gandhi started organizing. He reached out to the Indian community, rallying them to stand up against the injustices they faced. He spoke out against the racist laws. He used his legal knowledge and his eloquence to challenge the status quo, to inspire others to join the fight. He led protests and boycotts. He organized strikes and marches, always emphasizing the importance of non-violent resistance. He even got arrested multiple times. But each arrest only strengthened his resolve. He knew that the struggle for justice was worth any personal sacrifice. But he never backed down. He remained defiant, even in jail. His spirit was unbreakable and his commitment to the cause unwavering. He discovered a new way to fight injustice, satyagraha. It was a philosophy of non-violent resistance, a way to confront oppression with truth and moral courage. It means truth force or soul force. It was about standing up for what was right without resorting to violence, about winning over the oppressor through the power of truth. It's about resisting oppression without violence. Gandhi's time in South Africa was a crucible that forged his philosophy and set the stage for his future struggles in India. His legacy of non-violence and justice began here, in the face of brutal discrimination. After 21 years in South Africa, Gandhi returned to India in 1915. He was already famous for his activism. People called him Mahatma, meaning great soul. India was under British rule and they were struggling for independence. Gandhi saw the same patterns of injustice he'd fought in South Africa. He knew he had to act. Gandhi joined the Indian National Congress, the main political party fighting for independence. But Gandhi wasn't like other politicians. He didn't believe in violence. He wanted to win India's freedom peacefully through non-cooperation with the British. He called for boycotts of British goods, schools and courts. Gandhi's message resonated with millions of Indians. They saw him as a leader who spoke for them, a man of the people. He wore simple clothes, lived a humble life. He even spun his own cloth to show self-reliance. He inspired people to believe in themselves, to fight for their rights without resorting to violence. Gandhi's philosophy of satyagraha was simple but powerful. It was a revolutionary approach that combined the pursuit of truth with the practice of non-violence. It was based on the idea that truth is the ultimate force in the universe. Gandhi believed that truth, or satya, was the foundation of all moral principles. By adhering to truth, by being truthful in our thoughts, words, and actions, we tap into a power that is stronger than any weapon. This power, Gandhi argued, could bring about profound social and political change. Non-violence, or ahimsa, was central to satyagraha. It wasn't just the absence of violence, but a proactive stance of love and compassion towards all beings. Gandhi believed that violence only begets violence. He saw it as a cycle that perpetuates hatred and suffering. He taught that true strength lies in resisting injustice without resorting to force. This required immense courage and self-discipline. Gandhi's methods might seem passive, but they were incredibly effective. His non-violent resistance inspired millions and led to significant political changes. By refusing to cooperate with the British, by boycotting their goods and institutions, Indians showed their strength and resolve. They demonstrated that they could stand united and firm without resorting to violence. Indians showed their strength and resolve. They exposed the injustice of British rule and gained international sympathy for their cause. The world watched as India fought for its freedom with dignity and non-violence. This global attention put pressure on the British government. Gandhi's message of non-violence wasn't always easy to follow. It required patience and a deep commitment to the principles of satyagraha. There were times when people wanted to fight back, to meet violence with violence. But Gandhi remained steadfast. He believed that violence, even in the face of oppression, would only lead to more suffering. He urged his followers to remain peaceful, no matter the provocation. He believed that violence, even in the face of oppression, would only lead to more suffering. He taught that true victory came from winning hearts and minds, not through force or coercion. He taught that true victory came from winning hearts and minds, not through force or coercion. This approach eventually led to India's independence. Gandhi's legacy of truth and non-violence continues to inspire movements for justice and peace around the world. His life and teachings remind us that the power of truth and non-violence can indeed change the world.